6 things you should never say to someone with depression. Depression is not a choice. It's just happen and sometimes remain unexplained. So when you know someone who is experiencing depression, you need to watch your mouth and control yourself not to say something that will make their depression even worse. Depressed people are around us. They could be our family, our close friend, and even our partner. So we need to learn how to act and say in front of them to support them and make them feel better. In this video, you will know about things you should never say to someone with depression. Without any further ado, here we go. What is depression? For someone who does not experience depression, it's very challenging to imagine how overwhelming it is. According to Anjani Amladi, MD, a psychiatrist in Sacramento, California, depression feels like there is no pleasure or joy in life. It's so much more than being sad. Depression robs people of things they once loved, and for many people, they feel like nothing will bring them joy again. Depression is very terrifying. Over 264 million people worldwide experience depression with various symptoms person to person. The common symptoms depressed people show among others, feeling hopeless, worthless, guilty, and or sad, difficulty concentrating, loss of libido, inability to feel pleasure, sleep disturbances, and appetite changes. In a more chronic cases, people with depression often have suicidal thoughts. Reasons of depression are also varied and nuanced. It may include the combination of genetics, chronic medical conditions, environmental circumstances, brain chemistry, and more. Amladi also said that the bottom line is that depression is not a choice, so blaming someone for something they did not ask for and cannot control is insensitive and cruel. Therefore, when you are interacting with depressed people, you need to watch your actions and words because those have tremendous impact. So, never say these to people with depression. 1. Don't ask them to cheer up. People with depression does not need a cheer-up motivation. Telling them to cheer up only makes them feel more distress. So make sure you avoid these common phrases, cheer up, think positively, just smile, or snap out of it. According to Leela R. Magavi, MD, a psychiatrist and regional medical director at Community Psychiatry in Newport Beach, California, reciting platitudes and inundating the conversation with toxic positivity could exacerbate the feelings of guilt and shame that individuals with depression already combat on a day-to-day basis. So instead of overloading them with positivity, it's better to empathize with their situation, as if you were in the same feeling with them. Spend time a lot with them so they will forget their negative feelings, at least for a moment. You also can ask them if they want to express or talk about their feelings. Don't forget to tell them that they matter as well. 2. Don't invalidate their feelings. Understanding feeling of depressed people is quite challenging. But when they express and tell their feelings to you, you must provide a safe and non-judgmental space for them. Don't invalidate their feelings by saying, "You don't look sad," or "I haven't noticed a change in your attitude or behavior." The words like "it's all in your head" and "I've dealt with worse" are also very cruel. If you do this, it could be the signal for them that they won't open up again to anyone, or they feel like it's a fault feeling they keep. Instead, Gail Saltz, MD, Clinical Associate Professor of Psychiatry at the New York Presbyterian Hospital Weill Cornell School of Medicine, says we need to remind depressive people these things. First, that depression is an illness and not their fault. Second, express and tell them that you are sorry they experience these feelings. Tell them as well that you will help them through this and help finding the treatment. 3. Don't blame them. Depression is usually caused by things beyond one's control, such as genetics, brain chemistry, environment, and so on. No one wants to be depressed. So, blaming them for their feelings is very cruel. Never blame them for their feelings, like saying you wouldn't feel this way if you did this, or it's your fault that you feel this way. Those phrases are unnecessary for someone who is struggling with that feeling. Experts believe that it could trigger demoralization and feeling of helplessness. Moreover, depressive people also will feel like social outcasts. Knowing someone who is supposed to love them may perceive the negative words like blaming will lead them so self-injury. It also will lead to suicidal thoughts or attempts. Many people who entirely stopped eating and getting out of their beds had experienced painful conversation with loved ones. So it could be detrimental to blame someone for their depression. Instead of doing that, just remind them that they are loved and having those feelings is not their fault. Tell them as well that you always hear in any time and any way they need. 4. Don't ignore them. Ignorance is very hurtful. No matter how your mental health condition, it is something detrimental for your mental health, especially for depressive people. Ignoring is abandonment, which often makes the depressed person feel more alone, rejected, and worse, says Saltz. Instead of ignoring them, you need to ask them to join on a weekly aerobic, or bring them food and discuss fun memories. You also can write a letter that tells any detail of what you love about them. Those actions will be so helpful for their recovery process. 5. Don't tell them other people have it worse. Have you ever heard someone who said that, your problem is nothing, other people have it worse? Or simply saying, be grateful for what you have. Those words sound familiar, but unluckily, those are very hurtful. Don't tell depressive people that other people have worse life. It will make them feel that their feeling is wrong. The level of pain is not competition. So what may seem like only a small problem for you can be a very big thing for some others, especially for them who live with depression. Only the person with depression that can entirely understand how they feel, even if they look all right outside. McGavie says, depression is highly personal and does not warrant a justification of any kind. Any comparison could completely minimize and dismiss someone's daily life experience. What you need to do is provide safe space so they can communicate and express their thought without any fear. 6. Don't shame them. Treating someone with depression is difficult and challenging. But it's important not to get frustrated with them and avoid saying, you only think about yourself, or you're crazy. Other common hurtful phrases that people often say to depressive people is, you should think about how this is affecting others. Using these phrases will worsen their depression. Furthermore, shame is often linked with suicide. Meanwhile, people with depression are not selfish. It's the opposite. They are often feeling guilty, feel like they are a burden, and often blame themselves for not being mentally healthy. So instead of shaming them, you only need to support them, at least, by not saying the judgmental and hurtful words to them related to their depression.